And there you have it. Welcome to a football show. And that is the live Sinkers draft party reacting to Malik Neighbors going number 6 to the New York Giants. I am Braden Gall, and this is the draft party. Complete absurdity brought to you by Sinkers Beverages at the Track One building here. All food brought to you, of course, by Edley's Barbecue. And all these great Titans fans are here. This is Zach Lyons. I'm Braden Gall. I think I already said that. This is Stoney Keeley, Sobros Network, of course, stackingtheinbox.com over here. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Of course, the first 6 picks, basically as expected. The Neighbors picked those, Zach. I know you're a little disappointed. Well, you wanted Neighbors.
I wanted some Neighbors, but we got Joe Alt, Neighbors off the board. Titans are on the clock. This is a prime trade down opportunity, right? You don't have your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2. Doesn't matter what Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors are on the board. You have your OT1 off the board, and J.J. McCarthy is still there. This is a prime opportunity to trade back.
Absolutely. First 6 picks. Stoney, your thoughts? I know you're a Dunze guy over Neighbors. So if they're going to go receiver, Dunze is still on the board.
Listen, I'm going to be doing cartwheels. Yeah. So I think the situation that I talked about on a football show earlier today is not panning out right now. What I was talking about getting stuck at 7 was like if 2 of the quarterbacks start to slide or if all 4 go in the top 4 picks like we thought could happen. Hasn't been the case right now so far. This is the sweet spot where J.J. McCarthy is out there for somebody to trade up and come get right now. This is your chance to move back a little bit and get some extra compensation, some extra picks in this draft.
So real quickly, we've got some downtime here. Of course, want to say special thanks while it's a little calmer in here to Sinkers Beverages for hosting this great draft party, 2nd year in a row, of course. And we'll be here tomorrow night as well, but no live stuff, guys. No live stuff. You had to buy a ticket for that. Edley's Barbecue, Sinkers Beverages, Kingston Group, Sobros Network, Stacking the Inbox. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Again, another sold-out house. They're having a good time. We're having fun. All right, so Dunze is your guy. I know that's who you want.
Yeah.
Ola Fashanu, I know you've been down on the Ola slander the last couple of weeks. Same for you. So let's start with you, Zach. Right now, give me your top 3 names in order. What do you want to see the Titans do here?
Well, I'm a little worried about JC Latham. Like, I like JC Latham, but I'm more of a Rome Odunze, Olu Fashanu guy. JC Latham is probably the 3rd on the list that I would take. But I think the Titans like JC Latham, so that is so far all the scuttlebutt that we have heard about the draft has come true. All the smoke is true, and so if all the smoke is true,
Joe Alt was going number 5.
yeah. If all the smoke.
There's only a few hundred of you. It's not a big deal. Yeah. All right, so
Testing the audience.
Sinkers Beverage Group, Sobros Network. I've only had one cocktail, I promise. It's only just the one.
My 3rd.
He brought the shortest cord that he could find in his closet for something that he knows.
Stop talking about my cord like that.
I know. So anyway, the Tennessee Titans are hopefully going to trade back because that's what you want. Because everybody could say, well, like, oh, well, the Titan or the Vikings could stay put or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't stay put. You can't take that risk. I talked about today on the show, Denver happened to the Denver Broncos. Hopefully it's trade back. I'm afraid it's JC Latham. And it's not really that I don't like JC Latham. It's like that I like Olu Fashanu and Rome Odunze better because I think they are the better prospects, hands down.
I don't disagree. So
I'm with you. I think Rome Odunze is the best player in this draft. I mean, including the quarterbacks. Most fun tape that I had watching. The pick is in.
We have the pick is in.
The pick is in, so no trade.
Here's the deal. If it's Rome Odunze or Olu Fashanu, the team got better.
Yes.
That's what matters. If it's JC Latham, the team probably got better, right? I mean,
I'd say they still got better.
So, I mean, look, fix the offensive line. Fix the offensive line. I've talked to a lot of people here tonight. A lot of people are just saying, look, offensive line, I don't care how good the player is. I want to see the offensive line.
The pick is in, and I'm not sure if Jorge has.
Are you spoiling it?
I think Jorge's probably spoiled it.
I can't read. I can't see.
So,
well, is it 3 drinks or is it three drinks and tiny font over there that you can't see? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to see the room react in real time. We're not going to spoil it for you guys because we want you to see the reaction.
Well,
remember last year.
It's already spoiled. So if anybody's in the chat, it's already spoiled. If anybody follows anybody on Twitter, it's already spoiled.
Okay, well, but it's not spoiled for our folks here, so we're not going to do that. But here's the thing. You were screaming no Levis into the mic last year. Peter Skoronski was the pick, and everybody went crazy, had a great time with it. thought it was the right pick. Ironically, of course, they come back and get Levis in the next round.
I like that
But we shall
Jorge told
see.
us to wake up like we can control the fucking internet. Can I just say that real
Or
quick?
YouTube
Like
television,
Jorge's
for
like,
that
wake
matter.
up, guys. The pick's already
All right,
in.
here we go.
Oh,
Here
I'm
we go.
sorry that we can't control fucking streaming.
Nope. Okay,
Jorge.
we're still in
on commercial.
Still in a commercial break, which reminder, Sinkers
Yeah.
Beverages and the Kingston Group and Headley's. Lachlan Table, special thanks to them as well for their Friday evening food. And people are getting excited.
Hey,
there's a
I just know this. It's coming true.
People are chanting for the trade.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be disappointed, and it's kind of interesting that we know what's going to happen.
Well,
And
but
they
it also
don't.
says the pick is in. It doesn't say the pick is in if there's a trade.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so fix the offensive line is basically what we're saying. It sounds like they're gonna attempt to do that. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Oh, we're still,
Still-
on
I
Still
mean,
commercial
how do you
break.
go to
All right.
commercial with a pick on the clock?
I don't know.
Like this
I don't know.
is ridiculous.
Did
Stoney,
you say who you were rooting for in
Yeah.
this spot?
Olu Fashanu would be my pick.
Okay.
Olu Fashanu would be my pick. I'm okay with Roma Dunze as well.
Yeah.
I think both those guys make the team better immediately, and Roma Dunze makes the team better long term. So does Fashanu. I like both those
Sure.
players. I
Sure.
do think the direction, apparently, again, if you're in the comments and you know which direction they're going, I do like the idea of if you play out the draft, and we'll get to this a little bit more once the pick is officially in. But when you play out the draft, fixing the offensive line position with this pick is the best way to build the rest of the draft.
But this also,
Even if you love Roma Dunze,
Right.
which we all do.
but this also kind of tells you right here, right now, something that I talked about earlier in the day was that obviously either nobody was calling
Yeah.
or it wasn't really good because they're willing to take the risk, right? You have at least if you're the Vikings, right? If you're the Vikings, if you're the Broncos or whatever, you know that at least Atlanta should not take a quarterback.
Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
even if that's the case, you know that it could be a little bit cheaper the further you wait. So whether you wait for Chicago, wait for Atlanta,
Well,
wait for the Jets, it's a little cheaper.
and I
every
wonder,
time.
honestly, I hadn't thought about this, but I wonder about Chicago's willingness to trade into the division. Like, are you going to trade with Minnesota and help them out? Just something to think about. As they,
Well,
as
I mean, they
McCarthy can still
traded
be on the board.
T.J. Hawkinson,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, and
Yeah,
all this
that's
stuff
true.
in that
Yeah.
division. There's a lot of incest in the NFC North division.
What are you trying
Um,
to say about upper
yeah.
northeast Wisconsin? What are you trying to say?
something the same thing I'd say about Alabama. A lot of incest.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Oh,
So
man.
that's kind of where I look at is that it's cheaper to wait. Now, is it risky? Sure.
I agree.
But if you think that the Raiders really like Michael Penix, if you think that the Broncos really like Bo Nix,
Okay.
and you are willing to play the board, play the odds, then maybe you wait a few picks.
Yep.
I would love to know what we'll never know
What
that trade offer was.
What offer Rand said
Yeah.
no
Because we
to?
know there was at least 2 or 3 trade offers, but they decided to take this player, which is coming up on the board right now.
I would, if that's true and they turn down offers, I think that's the wrong decision. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just
would
a
agree
second.
with you.
I don't want to break the audio again, as I've already done
Yeah.
after one.
So just keep
fucking
your
drink.
hand this way.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
It's like
You feel the
it's like we've
tension in
never
the
done
room.
this before. or
Yeah.
something.
Feel the tension in the room right now.
How we feeling? Put your phones down. Put your phones down.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right. And now the pick is in.
There we go. Well, I'll tell you one thing. We know Pretty Boy Kelly is creaming his pants.
Yeah.
Whoa. Who was happy? Who was happy? Put your hand up if you're happy.
Hey, listen. We got a few people happy. Here's the thing.
All right.
JC Latham is not my first choice. He wasn't my second choice. He would have been my third choice.
Man.
But if you're talking about pairing the elite strength,
yes.
the elite size,
Big old
and
titties.
the nimble feet
Yeah.
for Bill Callahan,
Award-winning material.
I don't know. To me, that's like I get it.
It
I
makes
see.
sense.
I see why.
Okay. All
It's not my favorite, and I think that people that are in the media that may be watching this, if you're in the media, you're going to ask them a question: why JC? What makes JC Latham better than Roma Dunze? What makes JC Latham better than Olu Fashanu?
So I think the second question, and I'm gonna, because I know you guys have spent a lot of time talking about Ola.
Yeah.
I think the second question is far more important because the first question you can weasel out of real easy, and you can say, look, we had 2 players of equal value. We thought they both helped our team equally. but we have a much greater position of need at offensive line, but they're both equally great players. It's a real easy answer for Rand to get out of that one. If you ask him, and you're Rand, and I say, why JC Latham? And again, last year we stood here and I said the reason Peter Skoronski was a solid pick, pedigree. JC Latham's got pedigree, man. The dude's got pedigree. So first of all, break down the player. Tell us what you like about the player, and then we can get into the strategy about the trade back and the offensive line versus Odunze, who I think we can all agree with is a pretty damn good player too.
Yeah, I can't help but think back to Brian Callahan saying in a press conference that, oh man,
He about body slam him?
I think so. Goodell's going to need another back surgery. I think back to Brian Callahan's comment, looking good, getting off the bus. JC Latham is a gargantuan mountain of a man. When you think about his game, it's pure strength, it's pure power, grip strength, the meanness to really pancake a guy and then flop down on top of him. This is a guy that has I thought Fuanga got all of the hype for being immovable, but JC Latham is a pretty damn immovable right tackle. Now the question for me becomes, what do you do with him? Do they feel like they can flip him over to left tackle, or do they plug him in at right tackle where he played at Alabama?
Well, I think it's interesting because Mike Tomlin earlier this week, and we talked about it on the football show, but earlier this week, Mike Tomlin talked about how when they think about whether a player could play guard, whether they could play tackle, they go back to high school and say, does he have experience?
Left tackle.
And what does JC Latham have? Left tackle experience in high school.
Yes.
What's another interesting thing that I never even thought of that just never clicked for whatever reason was that when the Cleveland Browns drafted a right tackle from Alabama, it was Jedrick Wills. Or Jedrick Wills, sorry.
Yeah.
But guess where he plays right now? Left tackle. Guess who made that decision? Bill Callahan.
Yep.
I'm not saying that JC Latham could play left tackle, but maybe, because we talked about penalties, right? Maybe some of the penalties are from playing a right tackle position. Probably not. That's probably a little bit of a hopeful mentality, but that they're also all easily correctable. So I think this idea that JC Latham is only a right tackle originates from Matt Miller saying, well, some teams may view him as a guard. Some teams have Brian Thomas off the board. Some teams view Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. Some teams have Rome Odunze number one.
Yeah.
Some teams have J.J. McCarthy as the best quarterback. Some teams say a lot of shit, and it doesn't really matter. It's all about what the Tennessee Titans say, and that's what matters. We'll see where he lines up on the line and what Bill Callahan thinks. But this is why you fucking hired Bill Callahan.
Yeah,
it is.
So all right.
All that to say, though, Rome Odunze and Olu Fashanu, I would have preferred over JC
Latham would have been my number 3 in that spot too.
I tend to agree. Although I'd be more willing than you two probably to put Latham at 2 and Odunze at 3, because I'm willing to say if all 3 of them are equal, I would prefer the offensive line be fixed than to draft what for is this year a number 3 receiver, but obviously long term. So ultimately,
listen, the Falcons are picking. There's no trade there.
No,
I think the Vikings are laughing to the bank right now. They're going to get J.J. McCarthy at 11 and pick another first-round player at 23.
Okay, so let's go back real quickly for those who don't know. Let's go back and sort of take people through the JC Latham career journey here, which is, of course, an elite 5-star recruit coming out of high school, a left tackle in high school with pedigree, comes to Alabama, ends up playing right tackle because they had an elite left tackle All-American. And when he was going to switch as a last-year player this past season in 2024 or 2023, he was going to move over to left tackle, a team, again, that went to the playoff every year and this year was an SEC championship team. They had the number 1 left tackle in America as a freshman. And what do you do to that freshman? You help him as much as possible by leaving him in a position that he's comfortable in. So Caden Proctor played left tackle at Alabama, and JC Latham played right tackle at Alabama. Ultimately, what does this all mean? It means he can play both, and it means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think, what position he can play. If he can start at right tackle or start at left tackle, the team is better, and he's going to be a player for a long time for the Titans.
Well,
so ultimately, that's the journey that people need to know that he's kind of been on.
Whoa!
I told you he was going to go a lot higher.
Wow. So Michael Penix Jr. before J.J. McCarthy going to the Atlanta Falcons.
Damn, I was so close. I was so close. I said he was going to go before Jaden Daniels.
Well, I brought up Atlanta today.
I was clearly wrong about the Jaden Daniels thing, but I knew he was going to go much higher. So.
So that's
wild.
a big
Wild.
thing.
Yeah.
The Raiders are scrambling. The Vikings are scrambling.
AJ's still sitting there. So.
Chicago's still there. New York Giants
Now
are still
Chicago.
there.
Talk about we're not. This is a
They
Titan
got Roma
show,
Dunze, so
but they get
Roma
Dunze here if they want to pair him with Caleb Williams.
They do.
DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, like they
Roma
are
Dunze.
loaded with offensive weapons. We'll see if Caleb Williams is the guy.
But more to your point about the JC Latham thing is that him and Nick Saban have long discussions. Because there wasn't a time where through their discussion they're like, do you want to play left tackle? What do you want to do? What's best for the team? Is all this discussion. And what we know about Bill Callahan, tie this into him, is that we know Nick Saban's very black and white. What you want is what you get. Here's what I want. Here's what you do. No gray area. Joe Alt was on Stillman's show, which was the curse for him not coming to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
But he was on Stillman and Company. He said what he loved most about Bill Callahan and his time they spent with him was the fact that he was black and white in how he coaches and what he expects and what he wants and what he expects of you as a player.
Joe Alt did not look happy, by the way.
Yeah, no, he did. I mean,
who
would? You're going to the Chargers.
It's very strange.
But anyway, JC Latham and Nick Saban is not the same maybe personality as Bill Callahan, but the coaching style is similar.
They've been around a long time, though. They know each other pretty well.
So my feeling is that this is a really good fit for a guy that knows what Bill Callahan wants, and he's used to what Bill Callahan wants.
Do we think Bill Callahan could do something with this frame right here? Do we think this?
I don't know. I've been drinking.
I don't know if you lose your grip easily when you've been drinking.
Yeah.
All right, so
but let me just say this: the Titans' hands was forced to a degree.
Yeah, they got stuck.
And we'll never know what the trade value was or the trade value or anything.
This is what I want to ask. I'm going to ask you about the trade.
Okay.
I want to ask you about the differences between Fashanu and Latham. We know that Latham better road grader, better power blocker.
Sure.
That seems like the old Titans, though. So what is it about? I know you've talked a lot about Fashanu being the fact that his stock has dropped is like largely inappropriate and wrong. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so I think if JC Latham had put the tape that he put at right tackle at left tackle, we're having an entirely different discussion about this whole entire offensive tackle class.
And nobody's booing.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. Diana Rossini apparently reported, this is from Swinky Jacks.
It's very tiny font up there. We can't see it.
It says Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan loves JC Latham.
You knew that was coming.
It's his favorite player in this draft. So it happened exactly how they wanted, supposedly.
Well, so you and I talked about this, though, about how Bill Callahan, and I think you've probably talked about this as well, about how Bill Callahan, it should not, like, you consult Bill Callahan. He's a part of the evaluation process. But at the end of the day, Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon have to make the decision.
Yeah.
It sounds like they lean pretty heavily on Bill Callahan. So, again, differences between Fashanu and Latham, and I guess in Bill Callahan, we trust now is what we're doing.
Pick is in for the Bears, so it's definitely Roma Dunze.
Well, I think as far as the differences between the prospects, I do think there is an element of power to JC Latham's game that Olu Fashanu does not have.
It's true.
Olu Fashanu is probably the better athlete, probably the better pass protector, but I think with JC Latham, he has the thing that you can't coach, and that's just that raw grip strength, power, the frame, the presence, everything about him is like
the size and the feet, right? I mean, like people just
he's an
think
athlete,
he's a fat boy.
Yeah,
and
I think
listen,
he moves well.
Let me say something. His titties, they'll hit him in the face if you don't get those bubbies, secured. But let me say this: this guy can move agile and fast.
He's a hell of an athlete.
You know why he didn't need to test? It's because he was told he didn't need to test.
You don't go number 7 overall in the NFL and not be a good athlete.
Right.
That's it.
Bill Callahan got on the phone and said, "Boss, don't worry about it. You ain't getting past 7."
All right. So the trade, we're never going to know this, but ultimately, I mean, I don't even know what to ask you. Like, is it a 3rd-round pick that they should have? There you go. Roma Dunze to the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a thing other than saying that they should have taken whatever was offered. But like, ultimately, could you have gotten Latham at 16 or 15? Probably not.
Let me say this. If Bill Callahan was truly indeed his favorite player was JC Latham. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's operate under the assumption that of all the smoke that we've seen come true,
it's who we wanted.
That maybe it's true.
Or they wanted.
Then maybe when TD asked, "Hey, what players would you not trade back for?" Okay, so this is one scenario where it could have been not Joe Alt and Marvin Harrison. Maybe it was Marvin Harrison and JC Latham and everybody else or something.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think you could have got JC Latham in a trade back. So so we got the Vikings that just traded up to
From
the New York
11 to
Jets.
10?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So the Vikings traded up to the Jets.
It says
So you
they're
have
still
to
on
think the
clock at
Vikings
11.
had called. You can't say if Rand Carthon gets on the phone
I
or
assume
gets
the
in the
Vikings
presser and
called,
says that nobody called, we didn't have an offer that we like. Well, here's your baseline.
Well, it's a lie.
Here's your baseline. So we'll see what the Vikings traded to the New York Jets to move up one pick.
Well, hold on. It still has them on the clock at 10 and 11.
So I
just
guess they would have traded 23.
Holy shit, they took both picks.
No,
Okay.
they would no. They just took 23.
What I'm saying is they've got 10 and 11. They've got both picks, which I'm assuming is a quarterback and then
Dallas Turner.
Maybe a defensive
Byron
pass
Murphy.
rusher. Yeah. So
Byron Murphy.
all right. So here's the thing that also not only does Latham make you better right now, he could play right tackle, he could play left tackle. We'll let the coaching staff figure that out. Either way, the team is better. It doesn't again, you could argue the value at 7. That's fine. We can have that discussion. Titans fans are gonna watch Olu Fashanu's career closer.
Here's
than
what the
anybody
Tennessee
else.
Titans told you. The value at 7 is equal to JC Latham.
Yeah, I mean that was
You can go pull up your fucking big boards and look at Matt Miller say that he was 34 and all this stuff. But the grades tell you what the grades tell you. And what the Tennessee Titans told you was that JC Latham was at minimum number 2.
What concerns do you guys have about the pick?
He's got high bust potential. And that's been the thing that scares me the most with Fuaga, with Olu Fashanu, is I think that JC Latham has the highest bust potential out of the 3.
Is that a care thing? Like, does he just not care enough?
I wouldn't say that. I'm not one of those people who thinks because he's big boned or because he didn't athletically test that all of a sudden we've never heard anything like that, right? I mean, we've never heard of anything about him having concerns.
So not good enough is more of a concern. Okay, because
I felt like there were times watching his tape where his feet kind of got tangled up on him, and he was still able to win the rep just because he's so strong. If he can just get his hands on you, but he wasn't properly setting, and there were times where he got kind of out in front of his skis. So you have to wonder, the impact of Bill Callahan is that something
that's what I was going to get to is that when we talked about Joe Alt, when we talked about these and his separation from everybody else, is that Joe Alt is such a clean prospect.
Yes,
he's the Rome Odunze of the offensive tackles, right?
Yes.
But what the difference is that because of his elite strength and his elite size, that if you can clean everything up, you have an elite player with JC Latham.
And don't watch the Rose Bowl. Just don't watch the Rose Bowl.
I didn't think it was as bad.
No, but because I think what happens is that he got beat on some blitz packages, but some of it was also the rest of the offensive line and Jalen Milroe not reading what was going on.
Yes,
but that's also what makes Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh championship caliber coaches, is that they knew how to mess with the quarterback as well as not just the right
but
tackle.
Also there's also Tommy Reese involved in all this.
Agreed. Totally agree.
And Jalen Milroe. Yeah. I like Jalen Milroe.
So ultimately the team is better if the player is good, and they don't draft him at 7 if they don't believe that. So we have to just go with that as the analysis for now. Really good player at a position of need. Really high level prospect at a position of need. 2 positions of need in theory. He could play either one.
You had him as a purple prospect in the draft guide, right?
I like him a lot.
So a purple prospect is a red chip player with blue chip traits, and his blue chip traits.
For me, I look at the purple guys and say, okay, they've got one thing that bugs me, but if they can iron that out, they're a blue chip prospect. And for JC Latham, it's can he get his feet right? And if he can get his feet right, I think he's going to be good.
It's not for a lack of quickness. It's just a lack of moving with your body.
And again, I think the issue is that it's so easy for him to overpower people that he doesn't have to apply.
Yeah. It's like a quarterback. It's like a quarterback who doesn't throw perfectly on platform because his arm.
I believe he said it was an amazing visit with the Tennessee Titans and one of his favorites, and he didn't have a lot of visits, but it was one of his favorites.
Roll Tide. So go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was going to ask. I'm going
to move on to the next. I'm going to move on to the next part of the draft because I think the other part that this pick does.
There we go.
The other thing that this pick does, again, to the conversation we've had for fucking a month and a half now, is if you fix the offensive line with this pick, you have so many options moving forward.
Oh, I know the option.
So
baby.
number 2, let's look. We obviously don't know what's going to happen the rest of the first round, but with 38, if they stay there, they can now take a receiver, they can take a middle linebacker, they can take an edge rusher, they can take a corner, they can do anything they want now because they went and got an offensive line.
I'll tell you what they're doing.
Okay, please tell me. Please tell me, Lad McConkey.
No. They're taking Tavondre Sweat.
Big
I am
boy.
convinced.
The
it
two
has been
largest
low.
human beings in the
I
entire
am convinced. If you're
Hey.
going to take a chance on JC Latham, they're taking a chance on Tavondre Sweat.
Look good getting off the bus.
Yeah.
Look good getting
Big
off the bus.
Sweat. And
Big
listen,
Sweat.
well, I can't spoil my tweet that I have planned for tomorrow night
Yeah,
I don't
don't
wanna
if
do
they
it.
take
Save
Tavondre
it
Sweat.
for
But
him.
let me say something. Big Sweat, Big Jeff, Tavondre Sweat is going to be massive. It's going to be good.
What do you
So
think?
they're not
I'm all in.
defensive just that player, not like another player at that
No,
position.
it's that player.
That player.
I
Okay.
don't think Darius Robinson's going to be there, and I think everybody else is kind of out of the.
So while I don't love the pick at 38, that particular player, I think he's a good player. I do love, and this has been my theory for about 2 weeks now, which is in this draft, and we said this on Monday, what they need to accomplish in this draft is the line of scrimmage. They need depth along the
Yeah.
offensive line and depth along the defensive line. And if you want to kind of shoehorn the front seven in there and say middle linebacker, then I'm willing to say that they need depth there as well. Those are the you don't go spend a bunch of money on a corner and a receiver and have a receiver from last year and have a corner from like you don't do all of that and then ignore the trenches. I know Brian Callahan plays a new brand of football. So you're saying Tavondre Sweat at 38. I honestly think that the draft is now open for them, and I think that's really that's
I do think
great
it's
value.
open, but I
Sure.
think even in a trade back, it's still Tavondre Sweat. I
So-
think Sweat's the guy.
So he's on the record. Give me the names that you like now. We don't know who's going to be off the board, but I'm putting you on the spot here. But give me a couple names, positions. These are not like, again, we've done this a million times. So
I can't wait.
who
to
do you
watch
like at 38,
Ty's Twitter,
Stoney?
by the way, once we get
It's
off,
gonna be
Ty's,
wild. It's
I
gonna
am
be
going
wild.
straight through.
Well,
Ty's
if it's
Twitter.
anything the way these folks reacted, it's probably not happy right now.
So I'm cool with Ricky Pearsall if he makes it to 38.
It's my guy right
If
there.
they're there, I'm a big fan of his. Adding Xavier Worthy, even pure speed to this offense, moving around the formation a little bit. I like that. I like the receiver. It's still a little too early for linebacker, in my opinion.
Agree.
There's not a guy that I would love at 38, but maybe one of these edge rushers. If Darius Robinson were to fall to 38, I think he's going to go tonight, but it would be a freak show if he were to fall to 38. Even a guy like Chris Braswell, guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, if you draft him, if he slips, I think they're kind of unlocked at this point.
Yep.
They can go wherever they feel like going.
I like Kool-Aid at 25 for the Packers, actually. I would really like that option.
Mm.
All right, so outside of Sweat, anything else before we wish everybody a farewell and go check out Twitter?
Well,
Yeah, my
I mean,
drink's empty. I
I know I need to. I'm going on an hour and a half.
you
now.
know, we'll get a drink here in a second. Let's see. I'm assuming JJ McCarthy. I mean, it could be 10, it could be 11.
What are we going to do if the Titans trade back up into the first
that
round?
this thing
We'll
will
be
be
back
back
here.
We'll be back
We'll be back
if they
here?
trade
Okay.
back
We're
up.
here.
I do think that maybe we should let the people know that I don't know if you guys want to be here for it, but I think that may be a little after show talking about what could happen on Saturday because then we got all these picks to happen. So what could happen tomorrow?
Okay.
Well, this is live producing on the show here.
Yeah.
Either
I
way,
just work
here's
here.
the deal: the offensive line got better, and they can do whatever they want with the rest of their picks. Those are two pretty big things that took place here.
And we got a
and,
wandering
here's
Joe.
Look who's here,
Joe's
Joe.
here. Oh,
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
All right.
Oh, that smells delicious. That smells delicious. How about this? Singer's Beverages, everybody. Edley's Barbecue. Thank you guys for all the people that are here
Great night.
supporting a
Great
charity, Our Kids Foundation. Please, thank you. Raise a glass to them. Thank you guys for being here. To Stoney and to Zach, we do appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I tried to screw up the show by knocking the audio out, but we appreciate you guys. JC Latham, your new starting tackle. One of the two.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.